guys, I'm going to do a video series on the LT4 supercharger swap. So this is focused on the truck engines, the L83 or L86. Right now this has a LT1 intake just sitting on it. This is my mock-up engine. It is an L86. So what I'm going to do is show you the immediate issues you will have when you take your LT4 supercharger you just bought. You get all excited like I did, and you go to plop it on your engine. Because once you throw it on the engine, you realize there's lots of interferences you're going to have. And there's really only a few ways to do this. So I'm going to grab the supercharger and I'm going to throw it up on here and show you some of the immediate problems you're going to run into. Hi Keith. Seems weigh, I don't know, 100 or more pounds. Okay. Alright, it's lined up. Okay. We got the supercharger kind of positioned in the correct placement. And as you can see, we're nowhere close to even contacting the heads. So let's look and see what issues we have. Well, your PCB, it's slammed into this. So even if we remove this, look how much clearance we have before the bottom of the supercharger hits your oil pressure sensor right here. So this whole front piece is going to be in the way. Alright, well, let's go ahead and remove this valley cover and install a ICT billet valley cover. That's easy. Here's the ICT billet cover. That into place. Just going to install 4 bolts for alignment. This valley cover has O-rings that go into pre-cut O-ring slots. The slots aren't big enough. I would in no way trust those O-rings to stay in place and hold that oil pressure. So I'm going to call them and see if they have different O-rings. Maybe they updated it. If not, you can get aluminum DOD block-off plugs. You can hammer those into place in the DOD ports. And then we'll be good. I'd much rather do that. Alright, so now you see the clearance we gained with this panel. What's neat about this is you can still put an oil pressure sensor right here. There's a pre-dimpled area so you know where to drill. You sell an adapter. Or you can just take your oil pressure sensor and put it down here by your oil filter, which is probably what I'll do. Then your mechanical injection goes back up how it was before. So let's back on here, see what happens. All right. The supercharger is in place now. So you can see the cylinder heads are contacting the lower of the LT4 blower. You have tons of clearance here. Now, this is another little gotcha area. See all this metal is hanging down? So you can't really just use any accessory drive because this throttle body, back up a little here, this throttle body is very low. So most V drives will just slam into it and you got to clock your throttle body. You run into lots of issues. So I'd recommend definitely getting an LT4 specific blower drive and not trying to modify your own. Of course you can. I did it, but in the long run I'd much rather use a GM drive if possible. But so we got the supercharger on, but now we have some issues. We won't be able to see through this hole, but the holes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 bolts on the inside of this. Let me see if I can pull this lid off. I don't think I have it on there too far. There's 4 bolts on each head. I'm sorry, 4 bolts that go through the supercharger into the head. Those holes did not exist on the truck cylinder heads. See right here? Those are your, so we got 5 total. They go right here. The bolts that we actually have are a few inches down, the holes for the car intake. So you have a couple options here. You can get the ICT 3/8 adapters that go from the truck head to the supercharger. I like ICT Billet. I think they're limited in their design. They're very easy for them to leak because you only have these 4 mounting points and then you have the other points for this. And what would happen is I was having them bend slightly or lift up front and cause massive vacuum leaks. And you really had to play with it to get it just right. I did get mine to work, but on another build, they ran into several issues. So what is the other option here? Well, I'm going to be a guinea pig. One other guy on the LT Facebook page, he said he drilled these heads himself. So I can look at this and get it aligned to the heads pretty much dead on. And then what I'll do, move the lid, and we have a pretty good drill guide. This, you have about 3 inches. So I ordered an extra long 5mm bit. So I'm going to drill and tap these cylinder heads. So we're going to have 5 holes on each side that you drill and tap. You'll use a 5mm drill bit, and it uses a 6mm die or a tap. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. The kind of another benefit of that, it's not too huge, but when I got my LT4 drive in off a Camaro, this belt didn't fit. That's because we have a 3/8 inch adapter that raised the entire manifold up. So by you installing it just like factory here, your factory drive belt will fit. And I try to use things, keep things as factory as much as possible because that stuff's designed to last a long time. And I'm so busy. I don't want to create too many problems. Throwing a supercharger on a non-supercharged engine with the incorrect pistons isn't the best idea, but a lot of guys out there are doing it. I just, since I do tuning, I can keep it nice and safe, and I always have an eye on it. If you don't do any tuning and you would like to do this, you really need to find someone in your area that's experienced with tuning and that can do force induction, or else you'll spend all this money doing this and you can blow up your engine within 30 seconds. And then your project's dead in the water. So no matter what, there's always risk of doing this. The pistons have issues with their ring lands being very thin. They're thin for efficiency, but the rings can break or the ring lands, and that causes destruction that way. If you have a 6.2, I would just get LT4 pistons and drop those in. The rods are very strong, your crank is very strong. It's just the pistons are the weak area. So let's go look on the other side in the back. The mechanical fuel pump goes here. You see, you actually have tons of clearance in the back. So when you mount an engine like in a swap, the supercharger usually fits just fine. It's not any. It's actually you have more room than you would with a truck intake. Over here you have your one of your map sensors. This one will sense boost. Over here you'll have a map sensor here, and you'll have your purge valve here. So on swaps we always just block this off, and this is just vacuum. Boost does not come through these ports. Here, this is a vacuum port, so this can go straight to your booster. Works very well. And of course this is your for your coolant lines for the intercooler system here. This has an aftermarket hub on it from ZPE. I can put different pulleys on it. That's pretty neat. And I don't think too much I need to say down here. The correct way of doing this, I would say, would be to buy the LT4 valley cover. The LT4 valley cover will have, if we see it right here, will have a nipple that comes out that goes into this. So this is where it draws in, this is your crankcase ventilation system here. So that will have that built in from the factory. As you can see, I have nothing here. On my other build, I just plugged this, and crankcase ventilation is coming from these top ports. I would like to, remedy that and use the LT4 plate, valley cover, I should say. I think the valley cover is over $200 some. This valley cover was $70 from ICT Billet, so not bad. I want to say this is a billet cover. This is just machined 3/8 thick aluminum, but I'll debate on that. But everything just adds up on a build. You'll need an LT4 balancer here. So basically you'll have another set of ribs out here that will drive this. Those from GM, I think they came down in price. They're still, I'd say, $250 to $300. You might have to change all this out if you get a Corvette setup. You'll need to change this all out to get a different offset hub to make it work. But a Camaro supercharger, you won't need that. All right. One more thing I need to add is if you're doing an L83, the fuel injectors don't flow as much as the L86, LT1, or LT4 injectors. I would highly recommend putting LT4 injectors on it. That gets you much higher in horsepower capability. People are saying they're getting different horsepower levels out of the L83s, but no matter what, they flow about, I'd say, 40 pounds less than LT4s. So no matter what people are saying, I'd get an injector with the most flow rate. So you're just not instantly maxing out your injectors, because if you max out injectors, bad things can happen. So definitely you need to do LT4 injectors. So you need the balancer, LT4 injectors, a valley cover, balancer down there, and then you'll need your accessory drive. You'll need your intercooler cooling system, intercooler pump, intercooler. You'll need a harness that will support the modifications you did here. It's just adding a LT4 map sensor to it. There's a few alternatives on how to do that. And then you'll need a custom tune. The tunes are very important. Really, one of the most important things on this. These are very finicky, so that's one of the reasons I'm doing it, is so I can offer tried and tested tunes, and I had the tune working very well for my 6L80. Now I need to do an 8-speed setup, which I have in my C10, and that'll hopefully be on the road in a few weeks. I keep saying that, I'm just so busy, but I do need to get down the road so I can get some tunes set up for this. And I do offer remote tuning, so if you buy HB tuners, I will remote tune it using an internet connection, and I'll log into your I'll use TeamViewer. It's an app you can install for free. I log into that, and then I can live tune your setup. And with this, you can blow things up very, very quickly. So I've done 3 or 4 of these, and so far so good. But definitely you want to take baby steps with it. Alright, this is part 1. Again, just talking about the basic issues you'll run into and some of the costs you'll incur. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.